Hello everyone, welcome back to Storytime with Gemma. Today we'll be reading Disney The Lion King. The animals came from far and near across the dusty African plain. They came on padding paws and pounding hooves and flapping wings. Each beast, from the tiniest ants to the largest elephant, made its way to Pride Rock, for that was the home of the Lion King. And this was a special day in the Pride Lands. Today, Simba, the firstborn cub of King Mufasa, and Queen Sarabi would join the great circle of life. The animals took their places and bowed to King Mufasa. Then Rafiki, the wise baboon, stood at the edge of Pride Rock and held up the little cub for all to see. A great cry rose from all the animals. The elephants trumpeted, the zebras whinnied, and the birds sang for joy at the sight of Simba, the future Lion King. But one animal did not join in the joyous ceremony. Scar, the king's jealous brother, stayed in his den. Later, Scar just laughed when the king's advisor, Zazu the Hornbill, criticized him. Then the evil lion popped the bird into his mouth. Scar would have eaten Zazu if Mufasa hadn't come along just in time. Zazu wiped his feather off and scolded, "As the king's brother, you should have been first in line at Simba's ceremony." Scar's green eyes gleamed. "I was first in line until the little earball was born." "Huh? That earball is my son and your future king," Mufasa growled. Scar slink away. "Don't turn your back on me," Mufasa warned. Scar looked back over his shoulder, his eyes narrowed. "Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me." Simba grew quickly. One morning, Mufasa took his son to the top of Pride Rock and told him, "The circle of life never stops turning. One day, the sun will set on my time as ruler and rise with you as king. Then everything the light touches will be yours." "What about that shadowy place?" Simba asked. Mufasa declared, "You must never go there." Suddenly, Zazu swooped down and squawked, "Hyenas in the Pride Lands." Mufasa frowned. "Zazu, take Simba home." Dad, can't I come?" Simba whined. Mufasa shook his mighty mane. Fighting savage hyenas was no job for a cub. Later, Simba asked his uncle Scar about the shadowy place. An evil plan formed in Scar's mind. "Only the bravest lion go to the elephant's graveyard," Scar told him. He knew the foolish cub would go there just to prove his bravery. Scar was right. Simba couldn't wait to go to the elephant graveyard with his best friend, Nala. But how could they go with Zazu watching every move they made? "We've got to ditch the dodo," Simba whispered. Nala giggled and agreed. Soon the two friends found a way to escape their feathered babysitter. Before long, the young lions had reached the dark, mysterious place beyond the borders of the Pride Lands. Giant bones poke out of the ground. "It's kind of scary," Nala whispered. "Let's check it out," Simba said. I laugh in the face of danger. Ha ha ha. Hee hee hee. Cackle three mean hyenas. Shenzi, banzai, and head. Look, boys, a king fit for a meal, Shendy snickered. The cubs ran but soon found themselves cornered. Simba stepped bravely in front of Nyla and tried to roar. Roar. The hyenas laughed and jeered. Simba opened his mouth to try again. This time, the elephant bones rattled with a thunderous roar. The hyenas were confused, and so was Simba, until Mufasa sprang into view. The mighty lion chased away the hyenas. Zazu had seen the cubs in trouble and flown for help. Mufasa told Zazu to take Nala home. Then he scolded Simba for disobeying him. "Ah, Dad, I was just trying to be brave like you," Simba explained. Mufasa sighed. "Being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble, Simba. A good king is wise as well as brave." Simba suddenly felt very small. "We'll always be together, right, Dad?" Mufasa looked up at the starry sky and said, "The great kings of the past looked down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you, and so will I." Later, Scar met with the hungry hyenas. "I practically gave those cubs to you," he complained. "They weren't exactly alone," Shenzi whined. But Scar had another plan that would allow him to become king. "Stick with me, and you'll never go hungry again," he promised. The hyenas danced and cheered. The next morning, Scar took Simba to the bottom of a rocky canyon. "Now wait here," he ordered. "Your father has a big surprise for you." "Will I like the surprise?" Simba asked. Scar smiled slyly. "Oh, it's to die for," he said, as he walked away. Then he gave a signal to the hyenas waiting on the canyon ridge. The hyenas knew what to do. They chased a huge herd of wildebeest down the canyon. Simba felt the herd shake. He heard the clattering of thousands of hoofs. Then he saw the wildebeest heading straight for him. Simba managed to climb a dead tree and cling to a branch. "Help!" he shouted. Help was on its way, for Scar had found his brother Mufasa, Simba's trap, in a stampede. Scar cried. Just as Scar had planned, Mufasa rushed to Simba's rescue. He lifted his son to safety, but then fell under the rushing tide of hooves. "Dad!" Simba shouted. He couldn't see anything through the huge dust cloud. Mufasa tried to pull himself up the steep rocks from above. Scar watched his brother struggle. "Help me, brother, help me," Mufasa pleaded. Scar reached for Mufasa's paws. He pulled his brother close and whispered, "Long live the king." Then Scar let go and watched Mufasa tumble down the steep slopes. Oh no! When the stampede was over, Simba found his father lying lifeless in the dust. "No," Simba wailed. Scar came to the sobbing cub's side. "What have you done?" he accused. "There were wildebeest everywhere. He tried to save me." "It was an accident," Simba said in a rush. I didn't mean to. Of course not. But if it weren't for you, you'd have still be alive. What will your mother think? Scar demanded. Simba looked stricken. What should I do? Run away, Scar advised. Run away and never come back. Scar watched Simba run. Then he sent the hyenas after him. The hyenas chased Simba to the border of the Pride Lands. The cub dived into a thicket of thorns at the edge of a great desert. The hyenas looked at the sharp thorns, then at the desert. The cub won't last a day out there, Shenzi declared. Simba ran until he couldn't run no more. The thirsty cub collapsed on the sand. Vultures circled him hungrily. But Timon the meerkat and his fat friend Pumbaa the warthog chased away the vultures. Simba woke up in their jungle home. "Where are you from?" Timon asked. Simba sighed. "It doesn't matter, I can't go back." "What did you do, kid?" Pumbaa wondered. "Something terrible," Simba replied. Timon shrugged. "Who cares? You got to put the past behind you." "Hakuna Matata." "What?" Simba asked. "Hakuna Matata," Timon repeated. "It means no worries. That's the motto we live by, and here's what we live on." Timon showed Simba a wiggly insect. Simba watched Pumbaa eat a grub, slimy but satisfied. The warthog said with a burp. Simba frowned, but he ate the big grub. Then the cub smiled and said, "Hakuna Matata." In the months that followed, Simba ate many grubs and grew into a full-size lion. Most of the time he was happy with his friend Timon and Pumbaa. Yet he missed his mother and often thought of his father. One night, as they gazed up at the stars, Simba remembered what his father had told him. He wondered if the great king of the past really were looking down from those stars. Simba felt very alone. The next day, Simba heard Timon scream. The young lion raced to the rescue. A hungry lioness was about to pounce on Pumbaa, who was stuck under a log. Timon bravely was trying to protect him. Simba gave a mighty roar and leaped at the lioness. But just as they began to fight, Simba recognized his old friend, Nala. He gasped in disbelief. The lioness looked deep into the eyes of the handsome young lion and whispered, "Simba, Scar told us you were dead." Nala told Simba how terrible things were now that King Scar and his hyenas ruled the Pride Lands. There was no food or water, and many of the animals had fled. But you can come back and become king. Then everything will be right again, Nala said. "I'm no king," Simba said angrily. But that night, Rafiki, the baboon, came to Simba and promised to bring him to his father. When Simba looked up at the star, he heard a familiar voice. "Simba," his father asked, "have you forgotten me?" Simba gasped. "No, how could I? You have forgotten who you are and so have forgotten me." The ghostly voice continued. "Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life." Simba knew his father was right. His friends returned with him to the Pride Lands. Back at Pride Rock, King Scar was angry with Sarabi for not finding food. Suddenly Scar heard a great roar. He couldn't believe his eyes. Mufasa? It can't be. You're dead. But Sarabi recognized her son. Simba, she said softly. I've come to take my place as king, Simba roared, but Scar would not back down so easily. Simba leaped at Scar, but the villain slipped away. Instead, the hyenas rushed at Simba. Pride Rock echoed with their hideous laughter as the hyenas forced Simba to the edge of a cliff. Scar walked up to the exhausted young lion. Your daddy isn't here to save you this time, Scar taunted. Then he pushed Simba off the cliff. Simba's claws scrambled for a hold on the steep slope. This looked familiar, Scar sneered. Oh, yes. I remember it's just the way your father looked before I killed him. At last, Simba knew the truth. With a mighty roar, he leaped at Scar. Meanwhile, Timon, Pumbaa, and the lionesses have chased the hyenas off Pride Rock. When Simba sent Scar flying over the cliff, the villain landed in the mob of hungry hyenas. They cackled cruelly. Finally, they had a meal fit for a king, or a king fit for a meal. Simba thanked his friend. Then he walked to the top of Pride Rock. His roar echoed through the Pride Lands. The rightful king had taken his throne. The plains were soon lush and green again. The animals returned, and the hunting was good once more. Simba knew that a king must have a queen. So, of course, he chose the beautiful Nala. Ooh. Before long, the animals again came from far and near across the dusty African plain. This time they came to greet the firstborn cub of King Simba and Queen Nala. Wise old Rafiki stood at the edge of Pride Rock and held up the cub for all to see. The elephants trumpeted, and the zebras whinnied for joy as the future Lion King joined the great circle of life. Wow. The end. Thanks for tuning in to Storytime with Gemma. See you next time. And stay tuned for The Lion King 1/2. Hello everyone, welcome back to Storytime with Gemma. Today we'll be reading Walt Disney, The Lion King 1/2. Welcome to a story of a great hero who saved the animals of the savannah with a little help from his friends. No, it's not the story of the Lion King. It's the story of me. Timon, let's go back to the beginning, when I lived with my family in the meerkat colony. I tried digging tunnels like the rest of the family, but I never quite fit in. Take the time I added a skylight to a tunnel. No one else liked my idea, especially my Uncle Max. I don't know why he was so angry with me. It was the first tunnel collapse I caused that day. My mother wanted me to find a place where I fit in, so I tried being a sentry. It was my job to look out for any dangerous hyenas, but I made one teeny mistake. Who hasn't broken into song on sentry duty before? I didn't exactly notice my audience. The hyena surprised me and caused my whole family to flee in panic. No one was hurt, but my career as a sentry was over. I had to find my place, and it wasn't with the colony. So I made the tough decision to leave home to walk out into the great wide world. Of course, everyone tried to stop me. They begged me to stay. Well, maybe just my mother, but it was too late. And so I boldly went where no meerkat had gone before. I never looked back because I was crying too much. I kept going until I came to a fork in the path. Which way should I go? I shouted. That depends on what you seek, a blue-faced baboon answered. That's how I met Rafiki. He said, I was looking for Hakuna Matata, a place of no worries. To find it, he explained, you must look beyond what you see. What does that mean, you ask? Let me explain. It simple means you must look beyond what you see. Well, I could see a big pointy rock, so I headed for that. I was struggling through some tall grass when I heard a strange noise. Suddenly I found myself face to face with a huge snout. I was surprised, but I quickly realized that this big fella, Pumbaa the warthog, was no threat at all. In fact, he was scared of me, but I managed to calm him down. It turned out that Pumbaa and I were looking for the same thing, a place to call home. We made a good team. I had the brains, Pumbaa had, well, his own secret weapon that I would soon discover. We both set off for the big pointy rock, which was called Pride Rock. We got there just as other animals were gathering to witness the presentation of Simba, the future Lion King. Of course, we didn't know who Simba was at the time. That's when I discovered Pumbaa's secret weapon. I made the mistake of pulling on his tail. And, well, what a blast! Everyone had to bow to the ground because the smell was so strong. I realized that we needed to keep moving. Ooh. We looked all around for Hakuna Matata. We tried a few places, including an elephant graveyard. Pumbaa was a little scared, but it didn't bother me. After all, who would ever come to an elephant graveyard? Then we found out that hyenas would, so we decided to keep looking. Later, we found ourselves in the middle of a dry riverbed when we heard a deep rumble. A herd of rampaging wildebeest was headed straight for us. Shall we run for our lives? Pumbaa asked me. Oh, yes. Let's, I answer. Ah! We thought we were safe when we landed in a river. until we went over a waterfall. Whee! I got us safely to the riverbank, but did it bring us any closer to our goal? Well, actually, it did. Instead of complaining and giving up, I stood up and looked around. Thanks to me, we have found the place of no worries, our new paradise home. It was just like the monkey had said it would be. Hot tuna frittata. No. Sorry. A spoon of ricotta. Wait. Hakuna Matata. Once you hear that phrase, you'll never forget it. Our lives were carefree. We ate, slept, play, slept, and ate. But then it happened. One day while bowling for buzzards, we stumbled upon a little lion cub. Simba, of course. I wasn't scared of a lion. Nope, not me. You see, rescuing Simba wasn't the scary part. Parenting was. We had to wake up in the middle of the night, feed him, clean him, catch him when he fell. Nothing but an hassle. Still, we loved him. As Simba grew, I taught him everything I knew about eating. Soon, he was ready to challenge me, his teacher, to a fair snail eating contest. I have to admit he did well. He tried his best, gave it all he had. It didn't matter who won. Okay, the kid beat me. Simba grew to be a big lion and an even better friend. It was Hakuna Matata for the three of us. We could have gone on like that forever, but we didn't count on one thing: true love. Ooh. As soon as Nala the lioness appeared, I knew she was trouble. It would be the end of Hakuna Matata. I knew if I ruined the romance for Simba, he would thank me later. I tried every trick in the book to break them up, but nothing worked. The kid had to learn the hard way that a happy romance is awful. So I let the lovebirds sing. And before long, Nala and Simba got into a fight. Great. But then Simba left. When I asked Nala why, she told me long, boring story about Simba being the son of the king. Blah, blah, blah. In short, Simba had gone back to Pride Rock to fight some silly battle with his evil Uncle Scar and the hyenas. Nala went to help Simba, and Pumbaa followed. I decided to stay behind. Then Rafiki turned up, and we had a long talk. Okay. I talk and Rafiki just look wise. Anyhow, I knew my friends were going to need my wits, my courage, my leadership. Pumbaa! Wait for me, I shouted. Pumbaa was so happy to see me that he almost cried like a baby. Ah, that silly little war dog. We reached Pride Rock just in time. The place was crawling with hyenas, and we had to distract them so that Simba could face Scar. Luckily, I came up with a brilliant plan. With a song and a hula skirt, I lured the three meanest hyenas into a cave. And boom! Off went Pumbaa's secret weapon. The smell would teach them not to mess with meerkats and warthogs. Well, warthogs mostly, I guess. Suddenly, two meerkats popped out of the ground. It was Ma and Uncle Max. They had been looking for me for ages. But enough of the happy reunion scene. The battle wasn't over. High up on Pride Rock, we could see that Simba was fighting Scar, and Scar still had the hyenas helping him. Simba needed our help, and I had a plan. We needed, dare I say it, tunnels, and Uncle Mac was the best tunnel digger on earth. Or below earth, actually. The plan was as simple as it was brilliant. If Pumbaa and I could just trick those three nasty hyenas into chasing us, we could set up the best meerkat tunnel trap ever. Uncle Max knew how to build a tunnel, and I knew how to make it collapse. It wasn't hard to get the hyenas' attention. Hey, Pumbaa, I called. What do you call a hyena with half a brain? Beats me, Timon, Pumbaa answered. What gifted, I shouted, and the chase was on. Oh. The plan went smoothly, sort of. It took a little longer than I had thought for the tunnel to be ready, so I had to keep the hyenas busy. It wasn't hard. Finally, the tunnel was ready, so we led the hyenas straight into the trap. But the tunnel didn't collapse. One of Uncle Mac's braces had stuck. Someone had to do something. If you want something to come crashing down, you have to do it yourself. It worked. It actually worked. Not that I was surprised. Shock is more like it. We sent those hyenas tumbling to the bottom of Pride Rock. Where they belong. Simba sent Scar crashing down there too. Then Simba claimed his rightful place as Lion King. My mother was proud of me, and so was Uncle Max. But what was going to happen now? They wanted me to return to the colony. A hero's welcome awaited me there. But what about my new friends? This called for the greatest plan yet. It was about time that this colony of meerkats learned something about real life, about sleeping late, having plenty to eat, and not rushing anything. I knew a place of easy living with room for everyone. But I had learned something too. Home is not just a place. Home is wherever your family and friends are. But it doesn't hurt if it's in paradise. Hakuna Matata. TN. Thanks for tuning in to Storytime with Gemma. See you next time, and don't forget to check out the Lion King playlist.